Good morning. Hi, this is John Cannings here, and I'm going to give you a few points about the work that you did last week and also looking ahead to the second week. First thing is, this is an incredibly diverse group, and never have I had such a large contingent from Africa. And so I think this really gives um, truth to the I in IB, that we have a very international group. If you have a look at the map I posted in the announcements, you'll see how widespread we are. Okay, to move on, this first week was really about the CAS and the IB itself. And you were asked to look at the relationship between CAS and the mission statement, for example. And there, CAS in many ways is actually living out the mission statement. It's the practical arm, if you like, of the mission statement. The students actually have the opportunity to act on the philosophy. And it was interesting to see in your posts how well aligned your schools, yourselves, and the IB are about the mission statement. We also had a look at the program standards and practices, and in particular how these related to CAS. And you had a chance to talk a little bit about the action of the programs and standards in your own school. The last part of the week I think was very important because it asked you to really identify what's required for a successful CAS program in the school. And there are a number of things that came up from that. First of all, the school does need to provide some time for the coordinator to actually meet students and help them to learn how to reflect properly. The second thing that's important, I think, is that the coordinator is open and is willing to act as a role model for the students. I think that's terribly important that you're able to do that as a CAS coordinator. The third thing is, I think the CAS coordinator has a significant role as a pedagogical leader in the school. And that means that he's the person that needs to explain what CAS is, not only to the students, but to his fellow staff members, parents who are often sceptical about the value of CAS, and also the wider community. Third thing that I think is very important about CAS is that the students have the freedom of choice to actually select the CAS program that they want to carry out. Bear in mind that means that you also have to consider possible risks that may come from the suggestions that students have. And one thing that should not happen through CAS is that students are put at risk either physically or psychologically. The fourth thing which I think is really important about CAS being successful is actually that the students have the time to reflect properly. I thought particularly Shannon's post in this last learning engagement was very interesting, as it did focus on the importance of reflection and how really that was a process which should be going on in all our lessons. She quoted the work of Dylan Williams particularly about that. All of the people that all the posts that I read about CAS seem to have a very good grasp of what's required for a successful CAS program in the school. And you are to be commended for your careful reading of the guide and also your own thinking about the role. So thanks very much for that, and well done. Now moving on to the second week of the workshop. In this second week, it's really a change to how do we know whether a proposal the students have offered to us is actually CAS or not. And one of the things that you start off by doing is looking at the idea of the learning outcomes. In other words, what the students are supposed to be able to demonstrate at the end of CAS. Now, I think it's important that you have a very clear understanding of not only the definitions of the learning outcomes, but what their implications are. Moving on from that, there's some more practical things about how we actually define CAS. And one of the things that you, I suppose, tested on in a sense is that you're expected to plan a CAS experience. One of the other learning engagements is a quiz. Now, I want to stress with both of these learning engagements that there is a grading process. I have no intention of grading you. I don't think that's appropriate in this situation. The quiz, particularly, is meant to make you think about what is CAS. And don't worry if you don't think you pass it. It doesn't matter. The key thing is you've thought about it. What's really important to me, I think, and what you need to get from this is then what questions does it raise about what is CAS for you? You may have also some questions or queries you want to actually ask about CAS and what it is. These are the things which most often come up on CAS forums. The biggest question always is this CAS. Okay, one last thing I want to mention is this. I make an effort to read all of your posts. However, I don't comment on absolutely every one. I aim to comment at least on a couple of your posts throughout the unit. And it is important that you keep up on a regular basis with what's going on in the forums and discussions. The best value you're going to get from this workshop is actually the feedback and comments that you get, not just from me, but from the other people in the group who have different experiences of CAS. So, good luck for week 2. I hope you enjoy the activities, and I look forward to reading your posts.